Welcome back to the X Podcast, and I've missed you. How have you been?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. You are back?
I'm not. Okay. Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, you're back at the table.
I'm back at the table.
And you have some stuff with you.
Mm-hmm.
You got a beautiful, brand new book.
What are we going to talk about?
I mean, I don't know. I think we should wing it. But we have with us the brand new.
Well,
okay,
let me just say
let's
this.
drum roll this. Let's set it up.
I was going to say the last time, most people have seen it now,
Okay.
but the last time we talked about the announcement of my book,
Yes.
we didn't have a title,
That's true.
and I didn't have a cover.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of that because I didn't have the title.
Yep.
And so a lot's happened since then.
Absolutely.
And so
And you've already
with that-
sold your first 100 or 200 copies.
I have no idea what we sold, but yeah, so this is here we can go.
Yeah.
So this is the new cover, and so Don't Wing It, which, by the way, in L.A., multiple people told me how much they absolutely love the cover.
It's awesome.
Or the title.
I love
The
it.
title. Like, or one time about how much you love it.
Yeah.
Andreas,
Yeah.
just the title alone makes me want to read it. I'm like,
That's
well,
awesome.
that's awesome. We must pick the right one. So
Yeah, there you
know what
go.
I mean?
That's
So
awesome.
So yeah, we got the book. The book is not out yet. These
Yeah.
are my copies, and as you go through the process, you can do that. The book is not out until October 14th, but I do have finally the title, the
Awesome.
cover, and it's an.
How's it feel?
You know this. It's great. It's always something to physically hold it in your hands when you look at everything just on a screen for
Yeah.
a really long time, right?
Yep.
It is. It is just a grueling process.
Oh, it
And
looks
you know,
great
and
inside.
you go through multiple revisions, and you like find stuff, and you're like, okay, I don't like that. I do like that. You know what I realized I did not do this time? I kind of did it on purpose because I just wanted it to be a little bit different.
What's that?
But I didn't emphasize or do anything with the first line or the first and make a big first
Ah,
letter.
you don't need it.
I know. I kind of went away. Here's what I would say.
It's mainly a fiction technique.
Yeah, I know. A lot of nonfiction does it, but
Right.
I kind of intentionally went in a different direction with this book and kind of broke some of the traditional rules.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do endorsements.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're necessary. I definitely didn't think they were necessary for this book. I feel like I don't think I've ever bought a book purely based on endorsements or that person endorsed it.
Yeah.
Partially because I know how they work. So I didn't do that. There's not a lot of fluff. I go straight
Yeah.
into it. There's a couple
Yeah.
pages that just here's the contents page, and then boom, straight in. So I wanted people to pick it up and go quick.
So for anybody that's a brand new listener, give
Yeah.
your 30-second elevator pitch. What is the book about? Why'd you write it?
Okay. Title is Don't Wing It: The Essentials for Money, Dating, Taxes, and Everything Else. And really, so it's always great to get feedback when you're like, you give this to new people that maybe don't know it. So hearing how it was communicated for me in Los
great.
Angeles kind of helped me see what is the part that resonates. And what I've heard from over and over people is, and I almost made it the tagline, but I wanted the tagline, the subtitle, to actually explain what it was.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it's still too ambiguous with the title. And that is that people would say, oh, you mean it's like what they didn't teach you in school.
Yep. Yep.
That's what I've
Yep.
heard from numerous people. It's like, oh, you cover stuff that they don't teach you in school.
Yep.
Like, yes, that's it. And so really, here's a great way of framing it. This book is the result of me being both a parent and a pastor. So over the years, just in leading a community, there's you touch on not all of these, but a lot of these subjects in helping people create make healthy decisions in their life when it comes to relationships or parenting or with your money. When we talk about, we do series around here. We talk about debt. We talk about, credit cards. We have classes here we teach, So a lot of that stuff, investing, a lot of that stuff rolls up into stuff that we help our community with. So I've got years of that, and then parenting, and I have two young adult daughters and sons-in-laws, and so I've just been in the mode of wanting to download and distill,
Yep.
kind of like what I've learned for the last 30 years, and just kind of put it into a book that is, I will say, it is uber practical. Very different than my last book in that regard, but it is incredibly practical. The contents cover here, I can just list off a few of them. How to manage your money, basically bills, banks, and budgets, credit cards, cars. I literally have a whole chapter on cars, buying cars, maybe a smart way to buy a car, maybe some of the dangerous ways to buy cars or lease cars or rent, chapter on technology, on higher education, degrees and debt. So I talk a little bit about that and just navigating that.
Yeah.
Housing, buying a house, which you just did.
Yep.
Relationships, dating, talk about parenthood, taxes, insurance, investing, and purpose. So that's kind of like just the brief pitch for that. It's a really good tool to help, especially someone probably in their 20s, maybe 30s, who's trying to establish kind of the rest of their life to help them make really good decisions.
Yeah.
Create the future they want.
I'm so excited. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have a series around it.
Yeah, we'll have a brief one.
It's going to be awesome. But I know one of the things we've talked about, and I think we've hit it here before, the three types of publishing, but I feel like all the time, so many people we meet are aspiring or would love to be authors. And so many people, I think, even just to listen to this more than we would know, have had the thought at least at some point, I would love to write a book. I have something, but I don't know what to do with it. And I know you had an interesting conversation when you were in LA with someone that I think had just finished a manuscript of what that looks like. So I don't know, it could be helpful. Yeah. Interesting to just talk about the whole process. Me and you've both gone on that journey of, okay, I've created something. What do I do with it?
Yeah. And I think we've talked a little bit about the process of writing more than we have the process of producing it, of actually publishing it. So maybe we can lean into that piece just a little bit, because it's a daunting thing to do if you're new and you've just, and I think the point that you make, and I was, as you were mentioning that, I'm kind of processing in my head. You said, I think a lot of people out there maybe go, I want to write a book, or I want to write a book someday. Why do you think that is?
Well, I'm going to quote Donald Miller. He says that everybody should write a book.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean everybody should publish a book. I think there's something in us. I think everybody has different. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and put a little plug. I created, because I have so many friends, I feel like over the last few years, I've had multiple people say, can we get coffee?
Yeah.
I want to talk about the process. I want to write a book. Or I just wrote a book. I don't know what to do with it. And so I actually created a module called Write That Book that is for new authors. Not because I'm some sort of pro, but because over the last 10 years, I've gone through the process, the ups and downs, and thousands of hours of research and learning and trial and error and thousands of dollars so that I can help people. I can't help Stephen King get better, but I can help somebody that wants to get a book out.
Yeah.
And I like to say it this way, I'm not a pro, but I've synthesized what the pros say. So I've read all the books from Stephen King to Donald Miller. I've attended the webinars, and I've synthesized all of those things into, I think it's an 8-week module on, number one, the psychological barriers to writing and finishing a book.
That's hard.
Because they say, the stat is of all the people that endeavor to write a book, only 5% finish.
Hey,
so we're
in a really small percentage of people.
Because it's really like a marathon. So I have an entire module on how do you have the right psychological ingredients, not just to start, but to finish. How do you actually create rhythms that help you produce it?
Yeah.
Tips to being a better writer, tips to editing, all the way to the process. Everybody approaches it differently, but the general process from peer edits to professional edits to finish that Donald Miller, Stephen King, all the greats use. And then we have several modules on, okay, how do you pick your publishing path?
Yeah.
How do you pick a marketing path? How do you launch a book? All the things. So just unapologetic plug. still doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But one of the things that we talked about is why you write a book. There are general principles of why to write a book. Then there's the personal principles. The personal ones vary. Some people want to make money. Some people want to further their career. Some people have, there's a difference between an author and a writer. Some people have a love for the artistry of writing, for prose, for the love of words and language. Some people, it's message driven. I don't really know if I love writing, but I have a message I want to get out. But I also think there's some universal principles in that when you put your words into a book, you have documented your thinking. You have also done the work of laying out, even if you're writing fiction, but especially if you're writing nonfiction, a lot of writing, there's a therapeutic, a cathartic element to it that you are helping map out some of the way you think and some of the way you feel. And especially if you're doing anything memoirish, I think there's a really powerful psychological element of mapping out the narrative of your life, of laying out how you think. So I think there's something universal. And speaking of Irwin, I think he told somebody this one time, if you really want to leave a legacy, 10x more than speaking, I don't know how he phrased it, but is to leave behind words in print. When you write a book, you're leaving behind legacy. And I think there's something in people that love the idea of documenting, leaving behind, expressing something about their view of the world, how they feel. And so I think there's universal principles and personal principles of why people want to write a book. But I think it's a beautiful endeavor. I love what Donald Miller says. At the end of writing and finishing a book, you're not the same person. There's something in it that
you're tired, you're worn down, you're wiser.
It does something. It's kind of like at the end of running a marathon. Honestly, there's a lot of comparable elements to finishing a marathon and finishing a book.
It is like a race. It is something that you have to endure. I also, I agree. I think for all those, I think you just laid that out so beautifully. So I just think it was an interesting thing to consider. Why is it that people would endeavor to write a book? And I think for a variety of different reasons. And I think you hit those. I think there's probably something inside of us. Maybe not every person's like this, but there's something inside of us where you just like, if you feel like you have something that you want to get out, or you think will hopefully help. But I think I think you kind of listed a whole lot of reasons why. I mean, neither one of us write books to make money. No. The amount of time I spend doing it, I probably should just have another part-time job. I'd probably make more money. So it's not that, and I fall into the category of author that has a message that I feel like I need to get out more than I do a writer who just loves the passion, is passionate just about writing. I like concepts more than I care about how things look and sound, but I care more about getting a concept out than I do necessarily just living in the prose of something and finding the most elegant way to say something. Whereas I know you love that. You probably lean more toward that. You like to live in that. I care more about, and not one's better than the other. I love the way you write. I think you have that's more of a passion of yours. Mine is like, I want to figure out the best way. Not even the most efficient way. I want it to be creative and compelling, but I want to find the best way to communicate it's almost like when you have this idea or you have something burning inside of you, you got to figure out how to get it out. That's the tension and the stress of writing. Is like sometimes I get frustrated because I'm like, I feel this idea or this concept, I can't put it on paper the way I feel it. And I go back and read it and go, that's not how. That's, I think, the hardest thing to try to match is you're trying to match how you feel something. So even going through the edit process on this, which you love, I hate. So I think we all like and dislike different things about the process. And I thought maybe we could talk about, let's say that it is done or your manuscript's done. Maybe we could lay out what are some really helpful steps. And so we're going to kind of like assume you either listen to our other podcast that we had on this, do your course on this. I do agree that the idea that everybody has maybe a book in them, but I'll agree that 95% will never produce that book.
And there's nothing wrong with it if you don't want to.
There isn't. And there's other ways to leave behind what you really feel passionate about today. So I don't think that's the only way to do it. However, I think if you do not set a goal or something that you will hold yourself to,
Yeah.
it'll probably never happen.
Yes. I think, and that's where I would say,
That's my reality.
yes, a lot of people think about publishing before they focus on the writing.
Yeah.
The writing's what's most important.
Yeah.
But if, like you said, let's imagine a scenario, somebody's listening, they've already finished, or they're wrapping up finishing.
Yeah.
I mean, probably the best way to start is to lay out the 3 types of publishing. There are 3 primary types.
Hold on. Before we go to publishing.
Okay.
Well, although maybe not. We're winging this.
Yeah.
You should.
I thought you said you shouldn't wing it.
Don't wing it.
Okay.
But that's fine. Let's go through those. There's just nuance within each one because I want to bring in. You got to lay the book out.
Yeah.
And so that
Well,
obviously, if you're self-publishing, obviously you
Yes.
don't have to. So it maybe makes sense to do that. Like go through what those steps are. So go ahead if you want to just give them.
And part of this,
Just don't give away too much because you put this into a course.
I know.
So you got to be careful how much you give away.
For real, unapologetic, because right now I'm in the middle of helping like review 4 different books, and I'm running out of time to do that. But I have a passion for doing this, and so I am going to launch a second course. If you listen to this and you have an interest, message me, email, whatever, because I am going to do this again, and or sell the previous course. But I love, because I know what it's like to have a message in you and to have something and you're just like, I don't know how to get past writing block. I don't know the editing process. I don't know about publishing. But 3 primary paths of publishing: traditional, hybrid, and self. So we could go through the pros and cons and what's involved with
Let's
each
just
of them.
hit traditional because most of our audience probably will not land there.
They won't. Although, I don't know if you know this, we have somebody that's part of our community, first-time author, no huge platform, that got signed.
That's awesome.
And so traditional publishing path, the pros and cons, the pros are, if you get signed by a traditional publisher, which means you would have an agent, whatever, they take care of pretty much everything for you. So they're going to have, traditionally they're going to have in-house editors. They're going to do the typesetting, the formatting, which is a beast for you. They're going to do a lot of the marketing for you. Usually they're going to have a bigger front door to get your books in front of people. If it is, depending on the deal, you could get a hefty advance. Again, the path they think to the amount of books that you will sell is going to determine a lot of that. Yeah. But you could get paid in advance, a good amount of money to write it. So those are the pros. Cons, incredibly difficult to be signed. I mean, usually they're looking at a path to 10,000 sales or more. You need to have a platform that you can prove, or you've sent out this happens, you've sent out 200 to 200 different publishing houses, and you've weathered the rejection, and you have somebody that just says, look, I don't know you from Adam, but this just captured me. And that's more of a 1 in a million, but it happens.
Yeah.
And but the other cons would be you have less creative agency, and you have less profit margin. So you better have had a great advance because...
Well, let me...
Yeah, go ahead.
I could break down that because I went... First of all, there's levels to the traditional publishers, too. You have the large publishing houses, Random, Penguin, Thomas Nelson. Those are some of them, Zondervan, if you're in the Christian world. Like, you have some of those... There's a handful, probably. I don't know. There's more than that. But the big ones that everybody thinks about, and most of the big name authors that they release with them.
Yep.
You can submit your manuscripts to them all day long. They're never going to see it. I mean, you can try.
Especially if you don't have an agent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is you have to have an agent.
Yeah.
When you get to a larger size publishing house, you're going to need an agent.
Yeah.
There are medium and smaller size publishing houses, but the rules are very different. And so my first book I pitched to an agent, went through that whole process, and then he explained to me kind of even how it works and some of the things, and that's where he said, I think if you had a bigger platform, they would probably seriously look at this book. But I think he had 3 C's that he said they look at, which is the content, the concept, and the crowd. And he was like, your content and concept, I think those were the 2. He said, those are really good. I sent him some chapters. He said, your crowd is probably not big enough that they probably won't look at you because they're not going to invest the time and energy unless they feel very confident that they're going to sell probably, like you said, at least 10,000 copies, if not more.
Yep.
And so even I go back to say, when you say they do all the marketing for you, I'd say that's a really limited thing. The kind of marketing that they do is quite diminished from probably what it used to be years ago. They don't do as much for you.
Well, it depends on
You still
how.
have to do it. It depends on how big of
Yeah.
a name and what you are. Again,
Yeah.
if you're a smaller fish
Yeah.
and they pick you up, they're not going to put out tens of thousands of dollars.
Sure. Yep.
Not on the whim that you might
Right.
sell a few thousand or 10,000 books. It's not going to happen.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's you got to understand it's a business. It's
Yep.
money, right? So you're going to have to use an agent. There are sites out there that have medium and smaller size publishing houses that you can submit directly to them. That's the process where you're probably going to submit a couple hundred copies, and you may hear back from a few people. You know, even if those the rules change. But with an agent, talking about a major, let's say, traditional publishing and an advance, this is kind of how I was told it works. It's another reason why, if you have any hope of maybe taking your work and being able to get paid for it, unless they give you a big advance, which medium and small, that's one of the big differences. A medium and small size publishing houses don't usually give advances. They will help you with the editing, the cover design, the releasing it, but they won't give you money up front.
Yeah.
The big ones will give you money up front. And the way that works is, and for all of them, is say they gave you $10,000 or whatever, $20,000. Those are small advances, but what they would do for a smaller author if they picked them up on a big publishing house. Let's say they do that. The rate at which you're going to get royalties is going to be somewhere around, if negotiated, maybe around 20% of the wholesale. So that means that, let's say the book cost, say it's $18 for a book, that retail. Wholesale maybe 10, maybe if it's that high, right? Then so your royalty is going to be maybe 20%, could be between 10 to 20%, maybe a little higher, but I doubt it, of the wholesale.
Yep.
So that means for every copy that you sell, you may get somewhere, plus there's other fees, you may get somewhere between like $1.50 to $2 per book. Okay. Now, with the advance and the way that works is, say they give you $10,000. Until you sell enough books at your rate of royalty to pass $10,000, you're not getting any money. They've already paid it for you. That's why it's called an advance. You get it up front. So they're like, we think it's going to do this, so we're going to take a step and risk doing this. You got to understand, their risk is mitigated in the fact that if the book sells for 18 minus their print and ship costs, right, they're going to probably clear, after paying you the small wholesale fee, rate. It depends. If they sell to bookstores, they have to sell at wholesale, so they're not going to clear as much. But they could clear anywhere from $6 to $8, $10 per book, maybe more than that, if they sell direct. So they don't have to sell as many copies as what you do to get to that 10,000, right? So they can risk it a little bit more, and then anything over that, you still get the same royalty. So it's quite limited in what you make on traditional, but the benefit is you don't have to know how to do anything except write. And not even always write well. I mean, you got to write well enough to get picked up, obviously. But, I mean, they're going to have professional editors and content and development editors and graphic design. And
It's great. So, again, they do everything for you. And depending on how big they market and depending on how big
they might
the advance could be really helpful. But like you said, limited creative freedom. You could decide, I hate the cover. They don't care.
It doesn't matter if they think it'll sell.
And limited
title, actual content. They can come back and go, we need you to change this content. And you go, no, I believe this. No, we need you to change this content.
And a small profit margin. All right, so we need to go quick. So that's traditional, and then we have hybrid, which is as it sounds. It is a hybrid between traditional and self. This is what I did the first time around. And I actually think I think all three can be great options depending on where you are in life. There's not a right or wrong answer. I actually think hybrid can be a great option for somebody if they're going to write a number of books for their first book. And here's why. Because you may not have the platform or maybe even the content or concept yet to get signed. but you still need some hand holding on the process. And so when you do hybrid, you are having them help you from beginning to end. They're helping you. They're doing typesetting for you. They're doing formatting for you. I like to joke, basically a hybrid's the option where you're paying to delegate what you don't want to do or don't know how to do. And so a lot of times they'll have in-house editors. So sometimes it's piecemeal if you decide to go hybrid of, okay, what am I going to pay for? There's usually a few different packages. One package that includes in-house editors, one that has, typesetting, formatting, which is basically putting all the print on the book. And sometimes they'll offer, like, if you want to use their, marketers, or you want to use
graphic
designers or whatever. And so you have, so the pros of hybrid is you have somebody doing a lot for you, that's kind of holding your hand throughout the whole process of it, making it easy for you, and you can do it whether you have a platform or not. Cons are, obviously you're not getting an advance, and while your profit margin is better than traditional, it's not as good as self.
And
you do have more creative.
Giving an advance.
Yes, you are giving an advance.
I would say it's very
similar. And you do have more creative freedom than traditional, but less than self.
Yeah. And you do have, I'd say, in the hybrid, I think all of the steps to getting it released are going to probably be very similar to traditional. The difference is you're paying for it. Whereas in traditional, they're paying for it. Or they're paying you even. And they're paying for it with an advance. So those are probably the big differences. I think that's a good way to explain it.
And then you have self-publishing, which it's interesting because in the past, self-publishing is that path that, look, it was almost looked at as the bottom of the totem pole. Work your way up from self to hybrid, traditional. But now you have more. Stephen King. From last I heard, you have multiple big-name authors that are choosing the self-published path.
He's giving up way too much money to pay for a few services. You think about someone like him that sells millions of copies, to give up a huge chunk of your royalties for somebody to edit and do your cover. Why do you don't need that. You already have a name. You know what I mean?
So I'll lay out the quick pros and cons again, and then you elaborate. Pros, you have the complete creative freedom. You can do whatever you want to as long as it's legal. You have the highest profit margin. You have total control of the entire process. Cons, you have to do it all yourself. And that's a big con. It is a beast. It is a beast to learn. To learn how to typeset and format. To learn how. You're doing all your own marketing. All your,
all on you.
The only thing that you would be contracting out still, most likely, would be you contract out editors, graphic designers. Depending on how serious you want to take the work, how far you want it to go, you're still contracting out pieces. But by and large, it's on you. It is on you, and those are the pros. The other thing, I will skip ahead and say this though, Dr. Wes, that we've flown out here, psychologist, counselor. Me and him love to talk book publishing. And when I did self-publishing for this past book, he was being kind and trying to gas me up, but he just said, Russ, I don't know whether you realize it now or not, because I had bought the software, taught myself how to typeset, done the formatting, even though it's a beast, done all my own marketing. He said, Russ, you're a publisher now. You are an official publishing house. And I would say for any person out there that's an aspiring writer, that you don't just want to put a book out, but you actually feel like, man, I think I actually want to keep writing like my whole life. There is a beautiful, it's difficult, it's laborious, but there's a beautiful journey in learning the art of not just writing, but publishing and typesetting and formatting, because once you know it, you can crank out books from that point forward and have the largest profit margin possible.
I think you said it pretty well for what it is. I think there's a few caveats that I would probably add to that. The skill that you have to develop to publish takes a lot of work. There's a lot of programs. There's a lot of just even like ISBNs on the back. People are like, where do you go to get that? So even knowing that Boker is the U.S. seller for ISBNs, and you can buy them in a block of 10. If you're going to write other books, it's the best way to buy them. You have to, and just knowing that, and then getting the graphic made for it. You know, there's like little things like that you have to learn along the way. And there's a lot of great resources on self-publishing that are out there.
Yeah.
But you become a publishing house, and you become a print house. Not really, because they'll print for you, but it just all the editing and the pieces you have to do. I guess I would say it this way too. It really depends on what you are gifted at doing, what you love to do when it comes to writing. Because I think if you're the kind of person
And what you have time to do.
you have time to do, yeah. And if you want to make a career out of this, what I would say is if you're passionate about the writing piece, whether it is fiction, nonfiction, whatever, and you're passionate about, like you're the kind of person that has 10 books waiting to be written, and you're like, I want to create a career out of this. I would probably say it's worth it to go the more traditional or hybrid publishing route, and you may not get as much money from it. It may take longer than that, but if your passion is being a writer versus being an author, and you love that, you know what I mean? Then you could probably, I'm spending as much time or more just trying to get the book out as I did writing the manuscript.
Yeah. It's
You
a
could
full-time job to
you
launch
could
it.
probably write another book in the same amount of time that you invest into the marketing, the layout, all the pieces, especially early. So I think you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons. If you're someone that go, I just want to write books, then that's okay. The goal would be to hopefully get seen by an agent or even if you write one or two and then you get one, you submit them all the time to agents. You get a traditional publishing house that picks you up, maybe advances you, gets behind you, and they go, hey, I think this person could write 5 fiction books that we could sell. Then you just live in the world of being a writer and don't have to develop all these skills and buy all the software.
If you get published.
If you get
published.
Yeah, if you get published. I'm saying that would be probably an ideal thing if that's all you want to do. I think if you're an author, if you're someone who maybe is supplementing what you do, if you're somebody who goes, I want to do other books too, because I think if you wanted it one and done, you're probably better off just to go on hybrid. Spend some money.
Yep.
It's gonna cost you thousands of dollars to get the book out, and hopefully you recoup that in what you do to sell it, and maybe it's a break-even venture, maybe you make a little bit of money, but if your whole goal is I just want to get one book out, I don't know if it'd be worth investing all the time and energy to self-publish.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just saying it's a lot of work, and it's amazing how you forget, because 3 years ago I self-published my other book, and just having to pick it up, it took me,
You gotta love it.
And so I actually I think because of the technical aspects of publishing it, I like writing the book. I loathe editing the book. I like publishing the book. I loathe marketing the book.
Yeah.
If you were to ask me, that's how I see all these different pieces, And so I do. I like the technical aspect of it. You get a lot more control in self-publishing. You get to determine where and how it gets printed and published. Now, with that being said, the quality of, I'll say, direct to print, which is the kind of the newest way that a self-publisher usually operates. If you use any kind of there's so many different ways that you can do it, and we've used KDP and Ingram Sparks, and there's tons of them out there that can actually help get your book to print and published. Their quality is something that you can't. I think you go to a traditional publishing house or even a middle of the road small publishing house, they probably have all kinds of quality control on your print. When you're selling directly through Amazon, which is where majority of your book sales would probably happen today, it's using their KDP, which is their Kindle direct to print house. And I'm just going to tell you, the quality is not. The color of the ink is like faded compared to what I've seen in other books. It's a little darker print and better quality ones. There's some limitations. So there's pros and cons, like you said, to all of it. And I don't know if you want to talk about any of the maybe steps from, say you pick self-publishing. We'll just go that route because the other side's kind of handled for you. What in your mind, you just finished a book, you just finished the manuscript. we'll skip all the pieces of maybe you've done peer reviews, you've done edits, whether you've hired, we'll just say this is a step. You hired an editor, you got somebody that, a professional edit, that will at least do line editing, if not content or development editing. Do you want to talk about any of that piece, or you want to just move on to what's next?
Yeah, I mean, if you've already taken care of editing, then you've probably already decided you're going to self-publish.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's a couple ways to find editors. If you know somebody who's
Yep.
an editor or maybe has the quality or the skill of editing, I think that you could hire someone like that.
Yeah.
There are sites out there. I wish I could remember the names. Do you remember the names of the sites that I used
The
to
self-publishing school.
No,
You're
no,
talking
no.
about for editing.
Yeah, there's called
I know what you're talking about.
something work.
Upwork.
Upwork.
Upwork's
So
one.
Upwork is one. There was another one.
Fiverr. Is it Fiverr?
Oh no, I know what you're talking about. Maybe Fiverr.
Yeah.
There was another one.
Honestly, LinkedIn.
You could do it on LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
any place if you just go and say I need an editor, you do a search, work an editor for hire.
Yeah.
Then you'll find them, and it's kind of like what's the old Indeed? It's almost like an Indeed for people who are just doing work like this.
Yep.
And so there's all these editors will be out there. You can go submit, and you say, here's a project. Here's how many words it is that I need edited. Here's what my budget is. Here's what my timeline is.
Yep.
And you basically are just throwing your job out there.
Yeah.
And then there's editors who
Yeah.
are looking for work on there.
Yeah.
They see a project and they go, I'll bid that. And then they'll submit to you, okay, I'll do this for X amount per word. And then they'll come up with a price. And you say, okay. And then you'll submit the manuscript. They'll have a process with them. And they'll go to work editing, sending you comments. And you send it back. And they'll work with revisions and process. And you pay them per word. Usually a word count, sometimes a total count, sometimes there's hour, sometimes they charge by the hour. So there's a variety of ways to get editors, and there's on those sites there's graphic designers, there's people who do layout and typeset. So you can find people on your own if you're going to self-publish to still get some professional help.
Yep.
You're not just like you reading it 3 times because I promise you'll miss errors.
Yeah. No, it's true. I think we've hit a lot. I think for anybody that's interested, depending on if you've already gone through editing, really a lot depends on how far you want to take this and how serious you are. Because I mean, there's so many conversations before you even hit publish, which is, are you going to do a launch team? Are you going to have? How are you going to launch it? What's your marketing plan? What's your marketing campaign? Graphic design. What's your layout going to be? There's all that, and then there's obviously you have the typeset. So there's 2 different types of creative. If you're going to do full self-publishing, I Googled and YouTubed for months. There's really 2 primary rival creative suites, Adobe and Affinity. And usually both are great. There's pros and cons. I mean, Adobe has like a subscription plan. A lot of people don't like that. Affinity, really, if you're using a creative suite purely for writing, not doing much like videography, photography, graphic design, but purely for literary work, Affinity I think is kind of the way to go. I mean, but you were able to do your whole typesetting in Word. There's literally dozens out there.
There's lots of ways that you can get to your book laid out.
And then eventually you're going to self-publish your most likely. There's several different ways. I mean, again, crazy. Dr. West is, to me, just such a success story. He's paid for his homes with self-publishing.
That's crazy.
And without a crazy platform. And he does he goes a step beyond us with self-publishing.
Oh, yeah.
Typical self-publishing is you're going through KDP and you're uploading and you're selling through Amazon and or Ingram Sparks. He doesn't even do that. There's a place in Peoria, and you can go, there's all these kind of publishing houses everywhere, where he goes and gets directly from them for production, but he does his own distribution. So usually self-publishing still involves
selling. Doesn't he only sell on his website?
That's what I'm saying. So he's the distributor.
He's doing it, and he's shipping it.
Yep, and he's shipping it. So he's not even. Me and him had a long conversation about Amazon, and I think he's about to back end and put a lot of his former books on Amazon now, and I'm going to help him with that.
The reach is so much greater than what you can do on there. I mean, today, if someone wants to buy a book, it's almost synonymous with Amazon.
Right.
Yep. That's the first place you're going to look.
Yep.
If I were like someone told me about, oh yeah, there's a psychologist, Wes Beavis, he's got this book on blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go look for it on Amazon. I don't find it.
Yep.
You better hope you're in the search You better hope your SEO is good enough on your website that it does get to a website.
Yeah.
And then people want stuff delivered in 2 days.
Right then. Yep. So for him, he looks at it as a boutique. Like people that know him and that want his stuff is going to get it. And they're going to be willing to pay extra for shipping and for the cost of the book. And they're going to be willing to wait. But, and it's worked for him, but I wouldn't recommend that as the normal path. And so, there's a lot of directions we could go. But I just would say for anybody, if you're thinking about writing it, write the book. Just write it. Carve out some time each day. Make it a priority. I think it is so worth the sacrifice to not just start, but finish a book. And at the end of that, there's just a lot of options before you.
Yeah.
Good options of from there, what works for you financially and time-wise of how to get into the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's too hard to probably collect into a podcast. I mean, that's why you kind of put it. I think if you want more specific help on how to do it, I think your course on it, you really put more of the granular options in front of people on how to do it.
It was awesome. It was beautiful. We had, I think, about 15 people join for the live beta version.
Yeah. And
it was beautiful.
That's awesome. There's so much to learn about it. I do like, especially if you think you might write some more books and you want to, you're back and forth. I do think self-publishing is a really viable option today that probably wasn't before because, 20 years ago, if you wanted to publish a book, you might have still self-published or you had to do everything. You had to help sell the books. Amazon didn't exist. And most of the time you had to order large quantities of print and pay for it yourself.
Yep.
So you'd be like, well, they give discounts if you bought 800 books. So you're buying 800 books and they're sitting in your basement.
Yep.
And you got to sell them or you got $800 or 800 books. Sorry. That'd be a lot more than that. You've got hundreds and hundreds of books sitting in your basement that cost you thousands of dollars.
Yep.
That's what it used to be to be an author and to sell books. Today, with direct-to-print, there's so many sites that are out there that you can get your book printed for a very fair price. Amazon is where a lot of people go just because that's where the customers are.
Yep.
And so putting stuff on KDP is not hard to do.
Yep.
They give you all the parameters. They give you the size and what you need for your files for graphics that you can give to your graphic designer to create the title and the whole thing. The layout, like I said, there's tools. You talk about that in there. You can do it in Word. There's a lot of people that do it in Microsoft Word. I've spent enough time learning all the ins and outs of Word to get what I want, but it's sometimes a headache. Not going to lie. That you have to fight it. Something's always, And then just the whole process of marketing is a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Just that's a big challenge. And like you said, launch team. So self-publishing school is a resource that both you and I have used.
Yep.
So if you go do a search on self-publishing school, there's books, there's webinars, there's things like that. I found great value in getting in some alliance. I forget the name, the one I sent
Writers
you.
Alliance.
The Alliance, Authors Alliance, something or other. That these are some groups you can get in that give you pay for it, but you get access to like a Facebook community. You get all kinds of other resources. And so that was helpful, especially the first time around, where I'm going, how do you do this? I can't. What am I supposed to set the gutter margin for? You know what I mean? If you don't know what a gutter margin is, well, you're going to have to know what a gutter margin is because you're going to, there's so many things that you have to learn in the process. Yeah. It is I don't know how else to tell people, but it feels like you have another job if you work a separate job. Because this is outside of, we write on our own time. We do all this work and editing on our own time. I have other things I have to do during the day. And so
you better love it.
There's, like I said, I put it in order of that. I do love the technical aspect of, and when you self-publish, it's not just KDP. I put my book on Apple Books. I put them on Google. I put it through Ingham Sparks into, the 38,000 online bookstores. I don't know how many sales that's ever created. If you're going to do
Kindle,
audiobook, there's sites out there that'll help you convert your document into an ebook, and that is a nightmare in itself to get it to work and all the links to work. Oh my gosh, I've been fighting that. Audiobook. I've done pretty well with audiobooks. I was kind of surprised in seeing that, and so just making it available through Audible, just learning that whole process. Yeah, it's a lot. I think it's worth it. It's nice to have a product that's out there. And it's also scary putting it out there because, you find stuff later like, I wish I should have said that differently. But there comes a point where
it's vulnerable.
Is it Anne Lamott or is it Donna Miller says there comes a point where you have to ship your work?
Seth Godin.
Was it Seth Godin that said that originally?
Ship it. Ship your work.
Yeah, and there comes a point where, here's what I found. I have found traditional published books with errors in them. It's almost impossible to have no error when you have
we forgot
60, 70,000 words, or this isn't that big, but.
Yeah, Donald Miller said, errors in books multiply like rabbits.
And it feels like it.
But by the way, this reminds me, another little pro and con for each of them is the time it takes.
Yeah.
You could theoretically write and publish a book in 90 days. You could that's for self-publishing. And the hybrid, it's going to be at least 4 or 5 months. If let's say you get signed by a traditional publisher, your book will probably not come out at least for another 2 years.
Yeah.
It is a lot longer of a process.
It's a year after your manuscript's done, is what I was told.
Yep.
At least a year if you're done. And that's at least. It
Yep.
depends on when they put it in the, it's a,
Yep.
So,
anyway,
speed at doing it. So there's a lot, but.
All right, so people, can they pre-order?
No, not right now. I don't have pre-order set up on it. We'll have copies. It'll drop October 14th on Amazon, any place else online. We may have copies. We're going to probably have copies for sale at our church here before October 14th. When I do it, and so hopefully it'll be helpful. But
It's gonna be great.
And then you release it, and then you release it, and then you're like, now what?
Yeah.
And there's more to do after releasing it that you should do. Both of us were bad about it. You did better on this last one where you're supposed to. I mean, there's so much about trying to get podcasts. And
they say you can't take off the take off the gas
pedal?
for at least 6 months afterwards. I lasted a good 3 to 4 months, but
I did not. I lasted about 1 month after on my last book. So we'll see. I've got all kinds of ideas. I think every different book is different. I've got ideas for. I'm going to be pretty active on social media. I started created an account on TikTok just because I know the audience and wanted to hit it and just trying to create some fun and compelling videos and stuff to just like, hey, here's why you might want this as a resource. So we'll see. It's a learning process.
Yep.
It's learning as we go.
Yep.
So
I'm excited. I had the privilege to read and help edit on this one, and
huge help.
It is an amazing book. It's going to be so helpful to everybody. The unspoken word, because it's for all ages, but the unspoken word is adulting.
Yeah.
And it is so helpful for
everybody.
everybody.
I've had people. I have people that have already been contacting me that asking if they can buy a pre-advanced copy for their kid who's turning their birthday's coming up this month, or even out in LA. I was able to get some copies out there just from going out to speak, and then there's people that were buying up 5 copies for like a small group of young people that they have, young adults, and so that's I think there's I had parents buying it and grandparents are like, oh, my granddaughter's 15 years old, and I'd love for her to be able to and so I think that I think it can also be a conversation starter. So I'm working on some additional things that I want to put with this that can help. But I think sometimes it's nice for parents to be able to have their kids or their grown young adults hear from someone else that they didn't want to hear from mom and dad. And so, if anything, it presents a conversation starter to talk about investing for the future or whatever it is, parenthood. So.
Love it. It's exciting. Yep. We're cheering you on if you're writing.
Yeah.
And if you have hopes and dreams, you can do it. It doesn't feel like you can do it, but you can do it. Yep. And we're here to cheer you on. So anyways, great. Just diving back into it. It's fun. The whole time I was with Dr. Wes in LA, he just got me inspired again. He loves talking the business of publishing.
Wow.
And it's just an interesting, exciting business.
Yep.
But all right, been a great conversation. Until next week, we will see you then.
Hey guys, it's Russ. Thanks so much for listening. We really believe if we can get around tables instead of behind screens, if we can talk to each other instead of at each other, we can make the world better. To help us do that, here are a few things you can do to help. First, if you haven't yet, leave a review on Apple or Spotify and hit subscribe on YouTube. This helps more than you know. Also, if you have been impacted by the community out of which this podcast comes, that's X Church, Maybe you're local or you've been touched by the messages and impact across the country, even the world. I want to encourage you to support this work. A powerful life principle is to invest in the people and places that invest in you. And so I want to invite you to do that right now by going to thex.church/give. You can give a one-time small gift, a sacrificial gift, or even become a recurring partner. Together, let's keep elevating the conversation, thinking higher, loving deeper, and making the world better. Cheers.